Hey!
Hey, hi.
Welcome to the Natasha and Debbie show.
Hello.
That's brutal. Just two patriotic girls. So please don't take us the wrong way.
Hi.
My sleeve just got caught on my jacket. I'm like, about to, hi.
Welcome to the Natasha and Debbie show.
Wardrobe malfunction edition. No, really. Thanks so much for being here, guys. We're happy that you're here today. We have some good stuff coming up for you. But before we get into that, please like our video if you do, in fact, like our video. And also consider subscribing to the channel.
But before you do, please check out some of our other content before you subscribe to make sure that you want to be a part of our channel.
And I will say it again, said it a couple other week back. Check to make sure you are subscribed if you do watch our videos, because again, we keep getting people messaging thinking they're subscribed and they're not. Before we get to the video today, guys, we want to definitely thank over our friends at Patreon, our supporters there. You guys are awesome. You're rock stars. We love you to death. You get exclusive content on Patreon that nobody else gets. There's extra episodes, bonus episodes of the Natasha and Debbie show that are very different, I will say.
That they are.
They're a little bit different, but only on Patreon. There's so many cool things up there. We just added something into one of our tiers. But check it out if it's something you're interested in. We want to shout out to some of our patrons right now, though, and say thank you to these guys. Thank you to Mary Dickinson.
Thank you, Sheila Gardner.
Thank you, Sarah Healy.
Thank you, Lucy Lewis.
Thank you, Rob's Channel.
Thank you, Catherine Dowdell.
Thank you, Paul W.
A thank you to Richard Brooks.
Thank you, Laura Lee.
Thank you, Stumpy French.
Thank you, Helen Watts.
And thank you, Mandy Potts.
You guys are rock stars. So again, thank you so much. These are just a few of our patrons, and we love all our patrons. I appreciate you guys very, very much.
Yes, we do.
Today's video, I'm a little intimidated by.
Why so?
Why
it's
so?
My ancestry.
Yeah. This is where. This is called payback. Okay, I have to admit, I don't have any Welsh ancestry, but she does.
We still like you.
Wow. Okay, you can criticize my lack of Welsh ancestry, but I am the one who remembered to wear from our lovely subscriber Tony Blackwell,
who sent us.
Yeah, I remember these. Our Welsh and I can't get any closer. Welsh and American pins that he sent to us a couple months ago. Thank you again, Tony. So we do actually wear them. This isn't the first time, but it was my idea.
She did remember.
Yeah. I'm intimidated by the video. We had a Welsh friend of ours from here, of course, watch the video. And we were told there's a lot of information in here and very quickly. So it's going to be a lot for us.
We got to keep up.
Yeah. I'm a little concerned, but this is the history summarized of Wales, but we don't know anything about Wales, really. We really don't know much. So we feel like Wales has definitely gotten the short end of the stick as far as, we didn't know Wales was separate from England and, everything like that until we started doing these videos with you guys. We've learned a lot.
Yeah.
But we realized when it comes to something like this, we have so much further to go. So we're going to do our best to keep up with this. Please be nice to us. When you're learning from a whole other countries, your history is so much deeper than ours too, so we're going to do our best, but we're excited about it. Let's see what we can do here on this video and how well we can learn this stuff.
The history of the British Isles is an uneven affair, to put it mildly. We're familiar with how Scotland and Ireland drew the imperial short stick and enjoyed the pleasure of being sat upon by England, but perhaps the shortest stick of the bunch was drawn by Wales, who is often left out of the discussion entirely. And while I'm shocked that anybody could gloss over the country that is a freaking dragon flag, Wales has been tragically sidelined from the historical narrative of the Isles, and I will not stand for it. Wales has impressively and improbably maintained a distinct Celtic culture since the very start, and it is far too cool for historians to be doing them dirty like that. So, to see how Wales did the hard carry for Great Britain's culture for 2,000 straight years, let's do some history. A proper understanding of this whole Wales business requires us to go way back in British history. No, too far. Yeah, there we go. See, Celtic culture in Britain is the foundation of what will eventually become Wales, but these guys aren't the easiest to get a handle on. The Celtic, or Gallic people, stretched out from Central Europe towards Gaul, Iberia, and the British Isles, but also went southeast towards the Black Sea, and one problem for us loser historians is that it's unclear how, and even kinda if, they settled in Britain. They're competing.
What?
Yeah.
If they even settled in Britain?
I guess. See, this is the kind of history I don't really have any knowledge on.
No, me neither, but
Good
still.
thing we're doing this.
But we've been told by everybody in comments of every video we've ever done that has to do with any sort of history thing that the opposite of what he just said.
Yeah.
There was never a question of whether or not they did. Wow. That's interesting. It throws a wrench into everything I thought I knew already.
No. Let's learn some more.
Well, yeah, I'm just taking a minute to... I'm going to rewind that back a little bit. Back to the start of this.
Handle on. The Celtic or Gallic people stretched out from Central Europe towards Gaul, Iberia, and the British Isles, but also went southeast towards the Black Sea, and one problem for us loser historians is that it's unclear how and even kinda if they settled in Britain. There are competing theories for who, when, where, and why, ranging from the standard migration models to the possibility that very few Celts actually settled in Britain. Logic being that overseas trade was key to the Bronze Age economy, and Britain's tin deposits made them a big export hub. Since tin is half the chemical structure for bronze, that meant people from all over Europe and the Mediterranean came to the Atlantic.
Ooh. There's little tin mines that I asked about in that one video.
Oh, yeah.
So, guessing they were getting the tin there.
Wait, rewind that just a little bit. What video was that? Crap.
I don't remember.
Sorry.
I just know there's a tin mine.
Lots of them.
Was key to the Bronze Age economy, and Britain's tin deposits made them a big export hub. Since tin is half the chemical structure for bronze, that meant people from all over Europe and the Mediterranean came to the Atlantic coasts to get their bronze on, and this includes our Celt boys. So it wasn't mass migration that brought Celtic people to Britain, but rather local Britons who buddied up with Celtic traders by speaking their language and copying their swirly Latin art. So according to this meme model, the local Britons thought Celtic culture was LOL so relatable XD that they adopted it all up and down the aisles. Whether or not this model is fully accurate, it would account for some weird archaeological and linguistic discrepancies in the traditional migration theory, and it also foreshadows the prestige placed on bards and literary prowess.
Yeah, pause that. I cannot read that and listen to him at the same time. So let's just read this out loud, shall we? I'm going to pronounce these wrong unless you want to take over. You're on to? I'll read it. You want me to read it for you?
Yes, please.
I'm going to mess some stuff up. Be nice. Okay. One notable quirk with the standard migration model is the divergence between the Brittonic and Irish branches of the... I say Gaelic. I guess did he say he said it differently?
No, he said Gaelic.
I don't think he did. I'm sorry if it's wrong. Language family. Irish Gaelic or Gallic appears to be older than Brittonic, which wouldn't make sense if Celts or Celts, again, confused, migrated through Britain first. Interesting. Mm-hmm. Some double migration models try to reconcile this apparent contradiction. Okay. There are more questions than answers here so far. This goes back to the whole, did they even settle?
And which way did they go?
Wow, okay. Let's rewind that back before this peered up so we can get caught back up. Just trying to make sure everybody's on the same page here.
Was LOL so relatable XD that they adopted it all up and down the aisles. Whether or not this model is fully accurate, it would account for some weird archaeological and linguistic discrepancies in the traditional migration theory, and it also foreshadows the prestige placed on bards and literary prowess by later Celtic cultures. Because it's equal parts cool as all hell and existentially horrifying that a culture can, basically by itself, take hold of an entire population by willing itself into existence. This would be our first indication that Wales has big eldritch energy. Other civilizations, however, would not follow this lead because the Romans found that culture was best delivered by spearpoint. While on their way to fill out their pan-imperial punch card and get their 10th new province free, Roman emperors in the mid-1st century campaigned into Britain. Most Roman settlements were in the south and east, where all the easy agriculture was, and although goods, coins, and Roman legions did make their way west, the cultural and linguistic impact on so-called Britannia Secunda was only slight. Perhaps the most transformative thing the Romans did in Wales was leave, because the post-Roman migrations from Central Europe into Britain totally upended the island's demographics. Frustratingly, it's nigh impossible to show this kind of thing clearly on a map, which is why turbulent centuries in history with slim documentation make blue a sad boy, but here's the gist. We know the Angles, Saxons, and Jutes from northern Europe arrived and displaced many of the Romano-Britons, but over in the west there was also an influx of Irish Celts coming in to settle. This age of migrations was much more overtly migratory than the Celtic arrival in Britain in the millennium before, though, again, the native Britons didn't really leave. After a few decades of raiding gave way to much more peaceable settlement, most Britons were happy to start speaking Germanic and make friends with their new Saxon neighbors than to up and book it for the hills.
Okay, I just wanted to hear that last part. All right, let's go back and read that. I hope you're all with us here. I'm doing my best. It really should go without saying, but early medieval Britain was a fabulously diverse place, home to people from all over the Roman Empire, Northern Europe. Is it supposed to say? It's not supposed to say angels, is it? Angels? Angels and Saxons? Angles and Saxons were one part of a larger picture, and the idea of some singular Anglo-Saxon identity is a complete fiction. That term is useless. Okay, yeah. Mind blown. Mind blown.
Yeah.
All right. As soon as I start thinking like we know some stuff,
then
we don't know some stuff. Let me rewind that a little bit because he was talking right when that came down. So again, I hope we're not annoying you too much. It's just impossible to read that and hear him.
We're actually trying to learn it.
Yeah, we're trying to learn this, not just look at it.
Than the Celtic arrival in Britain in the millennium before, though, again, the native Britons didn't really leave. After a few decades of raiding gave way to much more peaceable settlement, most Britons were happy to start speaking Germanic and make friends with their new Saxon neighbors than to up and book it for the hills. Still, the end result was the confinement of native Celtic culture to the far west in Wales and Cornwall. And that split explains why it's called Wales. It comes from the Germanic word walla, meaning foreigner, while the Welsh call it cumry, from the Celtic word for country. It's also in this
how do you say that?
meaning foreigner, while the Welsh call it Cymru from the Celtic.
Yeah.
Cymru.
Sounds pretty good to me.
Nah, that sounds horrible, doesn't it? Cymru. I feel like I'm supposed to be rolling something. Wow.
Yeah.
That's an American guy, and I feel like he just said that. You know, I'm actually questioning now when I hear anyone's voice. I'm like, is that American or English? I can't tell any more accents because we've been hearing so much stuff. Is that you too?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was just me.
No, I can understand people a lot better now. And
I know.
Now I have to think, is that somebody speaking that
I can't
accent or
even
not?
tell our own accents now. I had to stop, like, is he British? I had to listen, like, I can't tell. But he seems to be, I mean, that was one word, but it seems to be doing a good job with that. I feel like I did that wrong. Sorry.
Celtic word for countryman. It's also in this migratory shuffle that the legend of the Romano-British King Arthur first pops up, though it'll be a couple centuries before he's labeled as Arthur or a king. Honestly, the whole early medieval period in Wales has this pseudo-mythic Age of Heroes vibe to it. Good documentation is blah, what else is new, but the oral traditions that will later become the core of Welsh epic literature get their start in this era. So, as far as we can tell, what was going on in medieval Wales? Well, isolation from Germanic majority England was good for preserving a unified Celtic culture, but the politics...
Before he goes on, wise or white dragon. All right, let's read this. Dragons are a big deal in Wales. The red dragon. Not going to try that one. You want to try it just for fun? You guys know you want us to. They want us to. Go ahead. Hey, Welsh lady. Say again?
Dragal.
I feel like that's the first word, maybe. Try again. I think you're close.
Dragal.
What? There's two D's.
It's only said as one.
The drag. Gawk. I think it's gawk.
Dragal.
Gawk. We're
probably so wrong.
Oh, we're wrong. There's no question. Really? You actually think there's even
a
a 1%
wrong,
chance we're right?
A lot wrong.
Yeah. You say your part and I'll finish it.
Drag.
Gawk. Did two of us even get close? Anyway, the red dragon, that thing, represents the Welsh Celtic people, while the white dragon represents the Saxon people. But I thought the Saxon people weren't even really a thing now.
Only the Anglo-Saxon people.
Okay, I never knew there was a white dragon. That's interesting.
That's pretty cool.
Okay. I'm going to rewind that again before that popped up because he was saying other stuff.
As far as we can tell, what was going on in medieval Wales? Well, isolation from Germanic majority England was good for preserving a unified Celtic culture, but the politics were much more wibbly. Various local princes vied for hegemony over the many disparate realms, but succession always proved their undoing, as sons would squabble and big kingdoms would shrink back to where they started. The princes of Gwynedd and Powys were the most successful of the bunch, and as a result, King Offa of Mercia built a dike across his border in the late 700s to try and keep Powys out. But that worked about as well as any frontier walls have worked throughout history, which is to say, so despite the best attempts of Saxon kings and the Irish Sea, Wales wasn't entirely cut off from the rest of the world, as they had gotten on board with Christianity thanks to the missionary Saint David back in the 6th century. They might not have been the most consistent of pen pals with the Pope in Rome, but they were mostly on the same page. Wales' early medieval history of relative chill was aided by England's near constant Viking tire fire, which pushed conquer Wales way down the to-do list. But that changed when our old pals the Normans kite-shielded their way to conquering England. Because suddenly this new Norman England had a much stronger army, and they proceeded to point it right at Wales. Norman lords pushed into Wales along the northern and southern coasts and made some, but not a lot of progress. Since Wales was made of small principalities, the Normans could play the Welsh off each other, but then all of their gains were only incremental. Not so easy as winning Hastings and calling it a day. While casual war was the standard for the next 200 years along the borderland marches, elements of Anglo-Norman and Welsh culture made their way across. The princes of Gwynedd, Powys, and Deheubarth picked up some Norman political structures, and England learned about Welsh longbows the hard way. Although Wales didn't form into a unified nation, they did get close a couple times. Llewellyn Var fought off his family members to become Prince of Gwynedd and proceeded to bap all of his enemies out of the way so that he could assert his hegemony over Wales. He also tried to streamline the rules for royal succession so that every interregnum didn't immediately explode into a civil war. He then pushed eastward into the March and defeated King John of England so handily that his barons made him sign the Magna Carta to stop being such a royal knob.
Royal knob. Okay, so this is where the Magna Carta comes in. What? Where are we at? Time-wise? Did I miss that? Did he not put it up there? Okay, 1211 and 1216. Okay. Rewind a little bit more, so.
Immediately explode into a civil war. He then pushed eastward into the March and defeated King John of England so handily that his barons made him sign the Magna Carta to stop being such a royal knob. Llewellyn's military successes weren't quite matched by his grandson, also Llewellyn. Though he did the biggest Prince in Wales routine again, he was defeated by England's King Edward Longshanks. The next year, in 1283, Edward pushed into Wales and stomped out the princes, using the old Norman trick of building a buttload of castles in newly conquered territory to stop the locals from getting ideas. In a twist that should surprise no one, England needed more than a few of these to do the trick, so Wales has the highest castle density of any country in Europe, with over 600 built and 100 still standing.
That's why Wales has the most castles.
Yeah, that explains it.
I didn't know that's why. Well, that makes sense.
That's super cool.
Okay. I love to finally know. I mean, I didn't really think about it before. Why did they?
No.
Just that they did. Well, this is fascinating.
It is pretty cool.
Okay.
And these castles are stunning.
They're castles. I mean, look at that. That looks epic with the Welsh flag on top of that. That looks so freaking beautiful. Okay, this is why they have the most castles. He said in Europe. Pretty sure it's the whole world.
I don't know. We have to check that fact out.
Well, they definitely have more than America.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No one, England needed more than a few of these to do the trick, so Wales has the highest castle density of any country in Europe, with over 600 built and 100 still standing today. That is, and I really cannot stress this enough, a stupid amount of castles. That's the density equivalent of 23 castles in New York City, with a less impressive but still formidable 2 castles just in Manhattan. Good lord.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
In any case, the post-conquest period was a weird century for Wales. Suddenly they were subordinate to England, but soon they got tied up in the 100 Years' War, and then everybody had plague to contend with. So while it was a real wacky time, it was also surprisingly indicative of the history still to come, as England goes about its business while holding a pillow over Wales' face, gently shushing them and hoping nobody notices. Forgive me for speedrunning through the next several centuries, but I've already done the England plotline once, and that was painful enough. A century after a thwarted independence uprising in 1400, Wales had the good fortune to pull a reverso and put a Welshman on the English throne. The man in question was one Henry VII, notable ender of the War of the Roses, and he set up Wales for greater integration with England and way more rights than they had before. This all became official via the Laws in Wales Acts passed by Henry VIII in the mid-1500s. He drew up county borders, standardized laws, gave Welshmen equal status as Englishmen, and gave Wales representation in Parliament. And as an added bonus of Henry's hop over to Protestantism, the Church translated the Bible into Welsh. This protection of the Welsh language coincided with a new interest in medieval culture and ancient literature, and language became a defining feature of the Welsh identity. While all of this...
Hold up. Okay. Hold up. I am intrigued right now. If this is a really ignorant comment, I'm sorry, but I know there's still the Welsh language by not all people in Wales. But are there still Welsh Bibles? I would assume maybe.
I would think so.
Did not even think about that. If there are, you guys remember our currency video we did? and I was like, hey, I would love to own a sixpence. I would love to own a Welsh Bible.
That would be cool.
That would be a freaking awesome thing, especially from Wales, not like an Amazon Welsh Bible, but like an actual Welsh Bible. I wouldn't be able to read it, but that would be an epic gift. I'm just throwing that out there to anyone who may have a, if that's even, just saying, that would be epic. That is cool.
Okay. That is super
Rewind that a little bit more, sorry. So Henry VIII's the one that started to really give a lot to Wales. Okay.
Literature, and language became a defining feature of the Welsh identity. While all of this was going on, the political story of Wales got folded into the larger English narrative, what with the Spanish Armada-ing, the union of the crowns of England and Scotland-ing, and the creation of the globe-spanning empire. Despite playing second, maybe closer to fourth, in the history of the British Empire, Welsh literature was rising in prominence during the Romantic movement, thanks in part to some shiny new editions of classic works. Specifically, Lady Charlotte Guest compiled and published the 4 branches of the Mabinogi, and doubly translated too, so Welsh and English readers could both enjoy the medieval folklore. In contrast to Scots Gaelic going kaput and Irish Gaelic suffering a steep decline in folklore. In contrast to Scots Gaelic...
That was up there for like 10 and a half seconds. Original Scottish Gaelic was replaced by the English adjacent Scots in the latter medieval period. Scots is Germanic. Is it now? Did not know that.
No.
Did you know that? Should we have known that? I feel like we probably should. I don't know.
I don't know if I should have, but I sure didn't.
I sure didn't either. Okay.
We're just learning all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, this is a lot of information. Probably a video of like the longest video I've ever done.
So Welsh and English readers could both enjoy the medieval folklore. In contrast to Scots Gaelic going kaput and Irish Gaelic suffering a steep decline in the 1800s that they're only recently bouncing back from, Welsh literature and poetry came in clutch for the long-term endurance of the language. But while the Romantic era was in full swing, so too was the Industrial Revolution. So all these fancy new machines and choo-choo trains needed coal if they wanted to do anything, and Wales happens to have a crap ton of the stuff. Southern Wales swiftly became the mining capital of the empire, and while coal and slate may have been big business, they were also hellish jobs to work. So Wales ended the century more urbanized than it had ever been, but the Welsh probably weren't so thrilled about why, especially as British attitudes towards them soured and Wales got the dingy reputation shared by all other regions doing heavy industry. Although the 1900s started out pretty rough, what with the...
No, why? Because they're like working their butts off. That should be given like a good job.
Probably just the coal mining industry. I mean, coal miners aren't really... It's
tough work. You should applaud the tough people working the hard jobs.
Coal mining and a nasty spell of discrimination against the Welsh language in schools and work.
And we're going to pause there. In the 18th and early 1900s, students in Wales dreaded the Welsh knot, a linguistic hot potato given to anybody caught speaking Welsh. Really?
Oh.
At the end of the day, whomever was unlucky enough to hold it was subject to corporal punishment. Are you freaking kidding? Linguistic prejudice was fierce during the Victorian High Imperial era. Really? That's not cool. That's not cool.
Henry just said that they could do all that.
Henry.
Henry.
Henry, Debbie and him are
reputation shared by all other regions doing heavy industry. Although the 1900s started out pretty rough, what with the coal mining and a nasty spell of discrimination against the Welsh language in schools and work, Wales turned a corner after the Second World War. Industry diversified and politicians campaigned for more regional autonomy and protections for the language. The Welsh Language Acts of 1967 and 93 elevated Welsh to on par with English, granting bilingual signage, the right to use Welsh in legal proceedings, and Welsh language broadcasting. So now a third of Wales can speak the native language.
Okay, so that righted a wrong that needed to happen, but a really long time later.
That's kind of sad. Only I think you said a third.
Yeah, but I think it was less than that prior to this.
Well, yeah, that's true. But it's still around and it's still there. But...
Oh, absolutely. It just seems like everything in Wales happened way too late. Like, not for... I'm sorry, I'm shaking everything. Sorry. Just very slow to allow, it to just be itself and to grow and to prosper. And that makes me sad. But it's also, it's getting there.
Yeah.
As far as this timeline, this video is almost over too, so I'm going to shut up and get back into it.
and Welsh language broadcasting. So now a third of Wales can speak the native language. And in 1999, Wales, and also Scotland, but that's a different story, got its own national assembly, later promoted to parliament. And that's Wales. Far too often sidelined in the history of the Isles, Wales has an enchanting historical vibe the other three countries lack. Maybe it's the ancient Celtic language and the dragon flag getting to me, but Wales feels older, like you can wander slightly too far off a hiking trail and stumble into Narnia. As anybody who knows Welsh...
That's good.
And I like what he said there too about it seems older. After hearing this already, I completely agree. Let me shut up.
Wander slightly too far off a hiking trail and stumble into Narnia. As anybody who knows Welsh can confirm, it just sounds like the language dragons would speak. And I know better than to disrespect the dragon lords. Thank you so much for watching.
Oh, that was
if you want more
Dear Lord, that was a lot of information, and I hope we didn't say anything out of turn or anything. I thought it was well done. Very well done.
Very informative.
Yeah, and very respectful of Wales. In my opinion, I mean, I'm not Welsh. I don't know. I could be wrong. But yeah, at the end there, though, what he was saying about it seems like it's just older. From what we just learned there, I kind of agree. Now I know I don't know, but what'd you get out of that? I mean, there's a lot there.
My new favorite saying.
Oh no, what?
Don't angry the dragon lord.
Really? Oh no. There's too much to unpack here.
I just think it's super cool that Wales has been able to keep some of their old history
identity.
And identity.
Yeah.
And their history, their folklores that got printed.
The language is still there.
Keeping the language around. I mean, that's so awesome.
Yeah, that is really neat. I wonder, so to our Welsh subscribers, first of all, we love you guys to death. We love all of you. But to our Welsh subscribers, tell us things that we may not have gotten there. If there's something we missed, which I guarantee you, we all know we missed some stuff here. That was a lot. But let us know any major parts we might have kind of went past our past. You know, like you were saying before, and he said too, a third of the Welsh people speak Welsh. And so I wonder, is this something that's now being taught to kids more often? I would assume so. And I would expect, based off his comment there, that the numbers would rise. I hope so, for the language's sake of surviving. Well, someday we'll try. If you guys want us to try to do Welsh name places, let us know.
Oh my.
I don't think it's a good idea, but it's worth a shot. We'll definitely watch this again, I think, at least on a slower setting. You can slow down the YouTube videos.
I will be talking like this. Too bad it's not like a record player. Turn it way down.
Oh, Lordy. Actually, but you can do that to the video. I thought about that halfway through.
Really?
Yeah. I thought about that halfway through. Like, maybe we should have slowed this down. We're not trying to watch these things just to watch it once and then forget about it. We're trying to learn it. So
yeah, because see, I remembered about the 10 mines in that other video. I don't know what video it was.
It wasn't in Wales, though. Oh, that was about the UK, yeah. Well, and I remember they had a lot of coal, and I don't know why I knew that. From some video we did.
Must have been.
So that was pretty cool.
We're learning stuff.
We are learning. We have so much more to do. Anyway, I hope you guys liked the video. Please like it if you did. And please, again, consider subscribing to the channel. And, you know, I hope you enjoyed it. Gave us a basic understanding of some things. We'll have to go back into it. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll be back Wednesday for Travel Wednesday. This Travel Wednesday coming up is back at the UK. So I already have a place picked out, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you will be happy since you've been begging us to do this place.
I don't even know what it is.
I told you.
You didn't.
Actually, I didn't. You're right. Thanks so much for tuning in. We hope you liked the video. Drop us a comment. Teach us something about Wales that we didn't learn here. We would love to hear from you. We love learning from you, and hope that you enjoyed this episode. Maybe you learned something. If you did, let us know.
That's right. Until next time.
See you guys on Wednesday.
Bye.